Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live here at the General Assembly here at the United Nations here in New York City for this year's inaugural International Jazz Day festivities, which kicked off last week in Paris, France, as well as New Orleans. Over the last couple of days, musicians from all over the world played America's really original art form called jazz music. And UNESCO, which declared every April 30th International Jazz Day, decided that they were going to do 3 cities and they were going to conclude here in New York City. Tonight, musicians ranging from Herbie Hancock to George Duke to Esperanza Spalding to Christian McBride are here tonight to pay homage to this great music. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the highlights of this year's inaugural International Jazz Day festivities here at the General Assembly here in the UN, here in the United States.
Designated by the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, otherwise known as, UNESCO, and its 195 member states, International Jazz Day is the first initiative conceived and created by its newest Goodwill Ambassador, my friend Herbie Hancock. This is in partnership with the Thelonious Monk Institute of Jazz. Tonight, we shine the spotlight on jazz musicians, singers, and composers from all corners of the globe. To help us celebrate in grand style, we have assembled a phenomenal group of over 36 artists from countries including Australia, Benin, Brazil, Cameroon, China, Cuba, India, Japan, Israel, Lebanon, the Netherlands, South Africa, and the United States. Joining us for the festivities are some of the world's leading blues, classical, and pop artists. So get ready for an extraordinary night. I guarantee you will never forget.
Good evening. Happy first International Jazz Day. Many thanks to Irina Bokova of UNESCO for supporting this extraordinary project. Thank you also to Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, the Thelonious Monk Institute of Jazz, and above all, to the amazing Herbie Hancock, whose idea it was to create International Jazz Day. He had a dream for this music and for us all. He stuck with it. And in the past few days, in Paris, New Orleans, and now here, that dream has come true. It's particularly fitting that this day falls at the end of the United States presidency of the United Nations Security Council. That's because the origins and early development of jazz are quintessentially American. And when the United States wanted to show its best abroad, we have often sent jazz. The U.S. dispatched the famous jazz ambassadors around the world, a tradition that continued with the Rhythm Road program and now with American Voices.
Some say jazz stands for vigor, energy, magnetism, verve, happiness. For UNESCO, jazz is another word for life. It carries meanings to all societies, on all continents. Jazz renews itself every time it is played. It is the sound of freedom. Jazz has provided the soundtrack for struggles for dignity and human rights. It remains today a force for positive social transformation. And now we must continue to voice this message of dialogue and freedom. This is why UNESCO created International Jazz Day. As I speak here, people across the world are celebrating across the globe, from Algeria to Australia, from Uruguay to Lebanon. This shows the power of jazz to bring people together, to enhance human dignity, to strengthen the ties of peace. For sharing their passion, for this generosity, I wish to thank all our partners and every artist here today. From sunrise in New Orleans to sunset in New York, UNESCO is putting this message out to people everywhere to join the band. One of the most stunning expressions of the cultural expressions of the 20th century. Jazz is already capturing the spirit of the 21st century. So, in this spirit, I invite you all to enjoy the show and happy International Jazz Day.
And sit into your heart, let them find you in words, what happens, cold. No, I won't believe your heart is cold. Maybe slow to warm on an evening such as this. Yes, let someone with a deep love to give his deep love to you. What magic you'll see. Let someone give his heart, someone who cares like me.
And in the global landscape that we live in today, where ideas are exchanged with the stroke of a send key or a smartphone or computer, what better way to transcend geographical and cultural boundaries and build bridges through the beloved and shared love of jazz. I believe in the depths of my heart that as long as we foster an environment where this exchange can take place, an environment such as today's, we will find ourselves in a more tolerant, understanding, and peaceful world. I traveled over 65 years around the world all of my life. You got to go to know. And I know this to be true because I witnessed it firsthand on many memorable occasions. And we celebrate the great legacy of this jazz today. Many of the men and women who are responsible for it are unfortunately no longer with us. But I know that there's one killer jam session going up there in heaven right now. Oh, Miles and South Florida. Woo! And I believe that 100 years from now, when people look back at the 20th century, they will view Louis Armstrong, Duke, Basie, Bird, Miles, and Dizzy as our Mozart, Bach, Chopin's, and Tchaikovsky's. Our classical music. I remember that. That's right, jazz is the mortal words of Duke Ellington. I love her madly. And I hope that one day America will recognize what the rest of the world has already has, that our indigenous music, jazz, is the heart and soul of all popular music, and we cannot afford to let this legacy slip into obscurity. Nor can we citizens of the world ignore the moral responsibility to honor the artists who created it by compensating them for their contributions to this great universal art form. We've got to do that. In closing, from the bottom of my heart I say, because I'll fight for this until I leave here, jazz is the personification of transforming overwhelmingly negative circumstances into freedom, friendship, hope, and dignity. And in the lexicon of this great art form, there be no more important and better innovator than my friend and brother Miles Davis, the maestro of the trumpet. Miles personified cool, bad, and defined the essence of jazz, his genius having influenced every true musician who's come after him. And I was honored to have conducted his last album in Montreux with the legendary Bill Evans arrangement. It was Miles and Quincy's live in Montreux in 1993. We taught Miles to sit tonight. Miles is the Picasso of jazz. And I'm honored once again tonight to recognize the magnificence of Miles Davis and his contributions to the art in the power, the spirit, and joie de vivre, that's jazz.
Because he was my father. And it was very, very difficult to predict Thelonious Monk. I will say, I think my father would be so proud of our accomplishments. I really do. Thelonious, he was the high priest of bebop and one of the most inventive pianists of any musical genre, with a vision deeply rooted in tradition, but also way ahead of his time. He made a profound contribution to the jazz repertoire. His unique improvisational style and his compositional genius have influenced and been studied by musicians, actors, poets, dancers, visual artists, writers, and you know, he cannot leave out someone who's very, very important to the Institute, athletes in the person of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So it's been the full spectrum.
young man with a horn, which is a thinly veiled story modeled on the life of the legendary cornet player Vic Spiderbeck. Our next guest was inspired to pick up a trumpet and hone his talent. He is considered one of South Africa's most influential individuals because his early protest music portrayed the struggles, the passion against the apartheid regime, which mirrored and captured the disillusionment of an entire nation. And through the trumpet, his heartache and suffering was enormous comfort to millions of oppressed souls and gave voice to the revolution. These conditions ultimately led him out of the country, and his triumphant career was launched. He symbolizes what the power and influence of jazz can achieve. Please welcome a true citizen of the world who performed his chart-topping hit, Grazing in the Grass, Hugh Masekela.
Increase cooperation, self-confidence, intuition, and creativity. But developing a love of music inspires and brings entire communities together. The best way to change the world is through education. And this idea continues to motivate me. And with the help of UNESCO and the Thelonious Monk Institute of Jazz, I'm pleased to announce a new initiative called Math, Science, and Music. This program will employ the comprehension, strength, and energy of music to enhance math and science studies and encourage young people to use technology to help build our future. Gathering together in this esteemed General Assembly Hall at the United Nations, where countries put aside their many differences and unite for the betterment of humankind, symbolizes the power of all music to cross cultural boundaries, making our world more equitable, secure, and peaceful.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report, reporting live here at the General Assembly, here at the United Nations, here in New York City, for this year's inaugural International Jazz Day festivities here in New York City. I'd like to personally thank the Thelonious Monk Institute of Jazz, UNESCO, as well as the staff and management here at the United Nations for allowing me to come in here and shoot and bring you this wonderful event. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Until next time, peace.